Hello everybody and welcome to Minecraft Hardcore Survival. If you remember what happened last time, you were doing better than me, because I honestly do not. I think last time we went into a mine, we built some stuff, and we almost died, so we might have almost died. So I'm actually on just a memory kick. I really have no idea what happened. We did that. That's good, right? I'd argue that's good. I hope so. I need more plants. More plants to suffer with me. There's lots of squids here. It's very weird, I must say. You know, except for getting bookshelves, I guess, and then getting paper for fireworks, there's really no point to having sugarcane. At least not that I can tell. Sugarcane's one of those, like, is it even worth it type of items. Do not have that much. I do not. Just vibin', aren't you? Did I launch him and not kill him? Weird. Okay, what was I thinking about? I was thinking about a couple of things. None of them are good. Number one is I hate this storage system. I hate everything about this. So I think I'm going to fix this. I can't stand this. I have no reason to hate it, but I really hate it. That was a way to do it. Yes, there we go. Leave like my stone and shit. Like Doriite. Yeah, let's get this all put in place. Like a box for dirt, box for cobblestone, box for Doriite, andesite, all that trash. So we'll put some gravel there, and we'll put the deep slate there. Wood goes with wood. Miscellaneous blocks like sand. Technically, it's cobblestone, but it goes in miscellaneous. That's how I roll. Ores, items. Okay, now let's go food items. Food items, plant items, all those kind of items, you know? Things that are irrefutably good for me to eat. Nutritious and delicious. There we go. ores, diamonds, and well, this is kind of like tools and shit. This is our miscellaneous box. Back over there. Ore. Good, good. We're on the straight and narrow. We've cleaned up the mess. It's been bothering me for a while, and I couldn't stand it. You know, I'm very particular about how I set this up. I'm not quite certain if I ever actually finished this off. I think I did. I think I put half slabs around the outside rim, which should help with not letting anything spawn too far away. Do need to clear that. And after that, it's pretty awesome right now. I mean, yeah, I've got to clear it out, but that can be done with a bunch of sand, but I do need to make the deep slate outer layer, right? Yeah, we do have a couple of plans in action, you know? Not a lot. I'm pretty dumb, so obviously there's not gonna be too many plans. Anything that goes over 2 steps is already out of my league. Oh, got a lot of sticks now. Oh, would you look at that? I'm just a sticky little boy playing with my white sword. Oh, that's bad. But I can do a lot of voices. Like, a lot of voices. Not very good voices, but a lot of them. There is definitely a collection of mobs. Nice. Don't really want to go too far down with this ridge thing. And we'll just have like a light ridge over here. And I was doing voices earlier today, and I kind of like, because a lot of the voices I do are like deep throaty voices, you know, like a, you know, it's not even easy to explain them, I guess. They're deep, you know, gravelly, painful to hear, or painful to speak voices, you know, the types of things that would rip your throat out, because, obviously. Nice. And so, of course, since I was doing that, I kind of screwed over my voice. Not that it's too bad. I mean, like, my throat hurt for like a good hour? 2 hours? Something like that. I mean, I could have slept through it. I'm surprised that I didn't take a nap, honestly. This is usually like reserved for my nap time. Not right now, but I usually take a nice nap before I do streams. Because napping is the only way to cure my undiagnosed issues, which I don't believe I have. All of my issues are diagnosed. Or I don't have them. So, yeah. That doesn't make sense to a lot of people. There's someone who keeps saying I have issues. Concerned saying it. I mean, they're not necessarily wrong, but without having a doctor point them out, I'm not going to believe it. Because that's the kind of petty-ass man I am. Certainly a lot of... This is spaghetti hole. spaghetti hole. Leads down to death. Be nice if found me some diamonds while I was at it. Oh, that's the cave we found earlier. That's pretty cool. No, I'm not gonna deny that's pretty cool. Shields are imperative in hardcore mode. How did people play this mode without shields? Really makes me wonder, because like this is a much harder mode without shields. It's clear that I fell into another big cave zone. Gave me gold, and he gave me a potato. But he gave me gold. Creeper! No coal though, no coal. I mean, this tunnel goes through Deep Slate, and apparently coal doesn't spawn in Deep Slate? Something like that? That would make sense. There's the stairway. Hell. I'll just make sure this side is also safe. Go back up. This pit has never appeared, and we don't need to care about it later. I mean, technically I probably should widen this pit out. You know, make it a proper pathway. But I don't care. You know? That's just a solid answer right there. I just don't care. Oh man, this is... You ever get that sneezing feeling? Where you have to sneeze and your body's like, you're gonna sneeze, Yeah, that just happened and it hurt a lot. Like, fuck man, that hurt. The great thing about doing this torch style, that you very slowly, very smoothly get the land, so long as you're willing to put in the effort to take it. Sounds like a colonist right there. You'll get the land so long as you're willing to put in the effort to just go up and take it, you know? It's your land to begin with. And if it wasn't, well, it will be soon. Maybe that's not a laughing matter. That's a serious thing. No, it's not really serious. I've been happy recently. I've been able to branch out my stories. They're no longer about death, despair, and determination. Now they're just kind of sad. No, what was it? I've been thinking about different stories, different plot points. You know? We all know what harem animes are, you know? Collection of different archetypes of people, male or female, gathering around a pretty stock standard person. You know, a vessel to say, that's who I am, you know? They gather around a vessel, they do hijinks, whatever. You know, they all find some form of attraction to this very mediocre person. And it's like, okay, well, we'll give you a pass. Because we project ourselves onto that mediocre person. Or at least we're supposed to. That's the intention of that useless ball of trash. But honestly, I've never really been all that into harems myself. I mean, I think the idea of a working harem would be fucking amazing, you know?
Albeit, I also recognize that I'd probably do horribly with having, 10 women, 5 women, 3 women, surrounding me. I'd probably do terrible with one person, let alone 3 or 4, it would definitely be upping the ante. Did I come down here before? That's where the creepers were. Okay, I did. That little tube thing connects there. And so a lot of anime nowadays, as far as I can tell, seems to be doing the subversion of expectations kind of thing, where it's like, oh hey, here's this standard trope you've seen 100 times. Now let us subvert it in a slightly different way so it's interesting. And I like that. It breathes new life into genres that are dying. Usually a lot of tricks and trips and all those little hijinks that are done in an anime. Especially, the violent ones done in harem animes or comedies or, stuff like that. There's one character that's just super violent, and their knee-jerk reaction when experiencing anything out of the norm for them is to attack the protagonist or attack someone with violence. And usually in harem animes, that's literally every single person, not just one archetype. I want to see a subversion of expectations where the protagonist gets actually lastingly mad and calls them out. It's like XXX, because of the actions and your obsessive nature, I've been ostracized from the entire class, You don't allow anyone, the kind of monopolizing, thing that you see. There's that childhood friend who's like pretty much just an undiagnosed, stalker, or an undisclosed stalker, and stuff like that, where they get excessively extra, and just calling them out on all of their hijinks. I think that would be an interesting situation. The class president who is supposed to be there to help regulate the class, and never once steps in to stop a situation from getting exacerbated, more dangerous or bigger than it was. Calling that person out, it's like, you're supposed to be there for the class to keep the safety and help everyone. And yet, you never once stop these specific individuals from going and doing crazy things that interrupt the class. Etc., etc. Just be an interesting thing, calling them out, like, you're so controlling and manipulative, or not even manipulative, just controlling and possessive, that's the word, that no person of the opposite gender is allowed to get near me, and because all of you are beauties, all of the men, or all of the people of the same gender, ostracize me, because they interact with me frequently, or interact with the protagonist frequently. They inadvertently ostracize them from the entire school body. The women can't socialize with them, and the men hate them because they've taken all the very hot, pretty ladies, or gentlemen's, just gets lastingly mad at them, calls them all out on their stuff, and then breaks it off. It's like, we build up, a nice 6-7 episode thing. It's like, do you know how many times your hijinks have sent me to the hospital, etc., etc., because obviously hijinks like that, like especially physically violent hijinks, you would think that they'd have ramifications, and in this case, to our protagonist, the ramifications are injury. injury to the extent that they have to be sent to the hospital. And I think that would be a pretty cool thing. A lot of mobs down there. You know, that one quiet but scientific nerdy person who always used the protagonist as, like, I guess a test dummy. It's like, you know, the sadistic person who's always spinning webs to make sure there's some random situation going on, purposely making issues so that they all end up fighting in the end, and blah blah blah. The physically violent one, which could be a lot of them, you know, getting lastingly mad. And then we see the protagonist at the end, it's like, or later on, and as, you know, we get to see that they're not actually just a void of a person. They weren't allowed to express themselves, you know? Their opinions were talked over and were judged as non-essential or non-important. And we as the spectators were only seeing the consequences and actions of pretty much just the selfish collective. Pretty much like having a friend group and being left out, and being the only one left out. That might be projecting a little bit. I might be projecting my own anger. This is a sea cavern. Kind of beautiful, I gotta say. Nice that there's all these illuminating areas. Imagine how dark this area would be without illuminating areas. You know? Without the glow lichen, without the magma blocks, this area would be pitch black. It'd be a very difficult time observing the inner workings. That's not the right word. But still, observing the area would be very difficult. You know, let's say they have an old stuffy who they confide in because, you know, when you have no friends and the protagonists are usually brought up into a new school without friends. Be the mysterious newcomer or the extra newcomer. You know? Just kind of like a sense of home and comfort in any case. At least that's what I was thinking, or a doll, or even just themselves in a mirror. And they talk to themselves, and they talk to both sides of the situation, you know? Like, as they're kind of remorseful over them shouting in an outburst so violently at the collective, the harem collective. We see them remorsing and being like, they could have been more tactful and more, you know, proper in how they pushed them away. But also at the same time being like, no, this is how it was because that's how you're feeling, kind of thing. It is truth. It is being truthful to your true self, kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe not your true self, but things that had to be said. And then we see them, you know, getting better, you know. Let's say, because I built up the story that it's a world with monsters and humans, 1,000 years after monsters came into existence. I say monsters, but they're actually more like hybrid demi-humans. You know, there's quote-unquote vampires and werewolves, but they're actually just demi-human wolves and bats. but demi-humans, as opposed to quote-unquote pure-breed humans, have the access to special abilities and magic and stuff like that. So that's why, whatever, humanity still exists. There's still about 30% pure humans on the world, whereas, and it's arguably a lot, considering the fact that there's like 20 or 30 different species of intelligent bipedal life. You know, 30% being pure humans is quite a lot. Bipedal. That's such a weird flub. Anyways, yeah. 30% pure human, etc., etc. Due to added laws, you know, because monsters or these demi-humans have something that humans don't, and the fact that, in fact, they actually ostracize humans that have the ability to use magic as another race because it's just such an off-putting thing. As opposed to being humans, they're magi, or magi, or magi, like mage. And so they're ostracized as their own subspecies of human. I built a decent comprehension of a world, and that's what I like to do when I build stories. I don't just like to build the plot. I like to build logic behind the plot, right? Like, why would this random kid be going to a brand new school without any friends? Well, let's say he got a scholarship. Why did he get a scholarship? Well, he's a high quality student. Okay, he's a high quality student in a prestigious high quality school. And then his grades start going down because he has to spend all of his time dealing with the shenanigans of other people. There's no way in hell he'd be allowed to keep his scholarship unless he kept his grades up, which would cause him to have to avoid those unnecessary people. So let's say it's not because of his grades. Let's say it's because of his race. In this case, human in a monster school. You know? Whatever happened, and in order to have tax reductions on their school, they need to have humans, but of course they can't really sell their school to humans because humans like to stick with humans, and they've already got their own racial prejudice against the monsters. Whether it's valid or not is unrelated. So it's pretty hard to try and say, hey, here's this really expensive, really prestigious school for monsters, and we're now accepting humans. Please join us. And so instead they pick financially distressed humans that have decent grades and say, hey, come to our school and we'll give you a scholarship, a full scholarship, 100% free for you. And of course, it looks good for them being like, we've also got humans, kind of thing, you know? For some reason, it's partially motivated or based in real life, loosely, from what little information my thin-headed brain can muster. There's only so much information my thin-headed brain can muster. Gold. And so... But they don't tell the humans that they're inviting that it's actually a monster school. Our person actually finds out ahead of time because he goes and asks for a tour of the school. and there's only like 3 or 4 humans in the school that actually accept the scholarship. He finds out that it's a monster school, but he's like, okay, he can do it. But he does blackmail the school, kind of. He's like, I'm not gonna join your school unless you make concessions for me. It's like, we're already giving you a scholarship. Yeah, well, I want a private dorm. I want a kitchen in my dorm, kind of thing, you know. Concessions to make his life easier, which also ends up making his life harder because he garners the interest of the collective, the harem, the group. I don't even know what to call them anymore. The Nightmares Before Christmas? Yeah, that sounds about right. Zombies in here. And, what's it called? So yeah, we see the ramifications of them being forced to leave. Because of what he said, all of them somewhat respect his wishes and they avoid him. You know, they could clearly see that it's not a haha, I'm angry kind of thing. It was more of a, I am seriously angry and one bad move might make me start killing people kind of angry, you know? Everyone's seen a person that angry. The true, it's not joking rage, it is true absolute rage. And he expresses that, you know, he expresses his will, his opinions, his judgments, and he's finally able to be left alone from all of these pretty much psychopaths, you know? There's no good way to put it. They're pretty much psychopaths. You know? This copper is taking up so much of my inventory. I need to go put this copper away. And, so yeah. Because of that, because he's no longer hanging out with the collective, the, boys in the classroom aren't able to really mess with him. Before, they could use the excuse that he was monopolizing the good-looking girls and that they were jealous. But now, if they were to continue picking on him, they would actually start a diplomatic and racial, issue with the school, and so they have to leave him alone, because if they were to continue picking on him, it would just be racial discrimination, etc., etc., because he's one of the few humans in the school. It would look just like it would be an unprovoked attack, pretty much. Oh yeah, there's so many squids. We also find out, or no, we don't even have to find out. Good stuff right there. That's a spicy meatball. Andesite, granite, Doriate. Nice. Let's see. That's not the right one. I actually made this. Okay, so that was completely useless. The wandering trader up there. Let's be friends, sir, after I've killed you and your entire family. Let's see. So yeah. We figure out that we get to experience his life now. His real life. He might not have friends in this school, and that's fine. In truth, he just wants to make it through the next couple of years, graduate, and then, because this is still a prestigious school, high grades and stuff like that would do well, and graduating from this school would do well for his future career. So he doesn't care to socialize with anyone. He wants to get high grades and leave. So he puts his all into studying. He does well. He brings his grades back up to where they should be, A's and B's, pretty much straight A's. Especially since the other people in this prestigious school are actually not doing all that much studying, at least in his class. Not doing all that much studying and are actually just kind of fooling around under the guise that they're from royal or noble or whatever kind of blood that they have. And then we see him taking up a hobby, because sitting all day reading books is good for you, but it's also bad for your body. He starts taking up things to do, because he's also a bit lonely. I mean, the girls were annoying, the collective was annoying and abusive and violent, but they also kept his day and life fresh, you know. There was always something to do, always something new. And without them being there, he had to do something to fill the gap. So he starts taking up a hobby, running around the track and field, doing some basic exercise, you know, that kind of stuff. First he gets some sideways glances from the other people, and then they eventually ignore him because because it just happens to be the natural occurrence, you know. Oh, the person's still doing physical activity. Cool. Okay, goodbye, you know. Somewhere along the lines, I made a Doulahan. Cause I like Doulahans, you know? Headless people. I like Doulahans. You know? Or headless, carrying their own head type of people. Headless. She starts showing up. At first they don't talk. I mean, a lot of people would probably still be nervous about the potential meeting up with the collective, but then again, the collective hasn't been seen around him in months, kind of thing like that. And she starts taking up the hobby quietly as well, or maybe she already had the hobby and she just starts running next to him to try and build a relationship. Not a romantic one, but like a social, like, hey, let's be friends. You have this hobby, I have this hobby, cool. Etc, etc, time goes on. They naturally use each other as a competitive spirit, you know, doing quiet races and stuff like that. And we also flip back to the image of the collective. Occasionally grouping up and watching the track field at whatever location they have. Because that's what sane people do. They watch their potential spouse being happy and judging and being angry that they're not the ones making them happy. Yeah, that's what normal people do. Oh, hey, I've got a bow now. Nice. Anyways. Oh my fucking god, that's gonna be annoying. I was wondering what that crickling noise was. It was a shaky can. Anyways, llama. Anyways, what was I talking about? I was talking about the thing. Yes, thing. And so yeah, we pretty much follow him doing different things. He begins to socialize with the girl, he makes friends with her, she makes friends with him, yada yada, we're happy, they're happy. They're doing a competition, and he officially begins to socialize with her because she didn't have enough water, and he lent her some of his, or he gave her some of his, rather. And because of that, they begin talking about shared interests. Whatever, they start talking on their jogs in the morning and evening. There's 2 of them now? That's sad. I mean, I didn't realize that he was gone. You know, honestly have nothing I want. anyways, I was thinking about something. Yes. We bring him together with the Doulahan slowly through friendship, and only through friendship. And, for some reason I wanted I wanted him to take up the sport of wrestling. Like not WWE wrestling, but like proper sports wrestling. I made her take up the idea that it's for self-defense kind of thing, you know? I remember whenever I would see you occasionally, I always saw you getting beaten up and on the receiving end of some kind of abuse. So maybe you can use this to protect yourself in the future kind of thing. Whether it be true or not. And so they're able to practice wrestling every couple days or whatever, or every day that they want to. And essentially they become closer and closer as friends, you know? And we also kind of cut back to the girls. As they kind of slowly change, not their opinions about the guy, but their opinions about themselves. Primarily, the first one to really change and to like see his point and be like, wow, these people are crazy, as he said. Or we're all crazy, as he said, you know? Is like the student council leader or whatever, the class rep, that's what it is. It's like, at first, she was the first one to accept his words and see it from an outside perspective, especially since I do these weekly meetings. She's able to see just how absolutely insane they all are, from not how they only talk about him, but how they talk in such a jealous way that he's finding himself to be happy and sociable with someone outside of their grasp, you know? And whatever, something happens, the two of them are having fun, and then the collective gets like super jealous, and we see them wanting to set up some kind of contrived situation to, we would see the collective trying to make a contrived situation to get the affections of the boy back, you know? Don't pay attention to that person, pay attention to us, kind of thing. This isn't the area, is it? It's not the area. I don't think so. Yeah, it's the exact opposite direction. Of course it's not the area. I think. No, that's lichen. That's glow lichen. Different area. Anyways, yeah. They make some kind of contrived thing, but the guy's got like eyes in the back of his head. And he figures out they're there pretty quickly. And he shoots them down by trying to leave. He also kind of warns his friend, like, hey, don't be near me for the next X amount of time, because these people are absolutely insane. They got some screws loose, and they don't even realize it. Kind of thing. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, they're insane. Don't be with me for a while. They'll calm down eventually. Whatever. He tries to leave. Incident happens. And instead of playing out like the girls expected, where he's like, you know, oh, I'm sorry for knocking you over, whatever. Let me help you up. As opposed to doing that, he tries to leave as quickly as he can, whether he's knocked someone over or not. And they don't take kindly to this, and they're like, and they try and force the situation. It's like, oh, not allowed to leave, says the one with the sword, because there's always one with a sword, right? In a harem, there's always someone carrying around a weapon of some kind. And whatever. and they try and strike him with the sword, because of course they always do. And instead of actually receiving the strike, he's able to defend, and in their shock of all of them, counter with a stun gun. And then he hits the second with a stun gun, because there's 3 of them there. One of them is knocked on the ground from bumping into him, purposely, mind you. And the others have been hit by a stun gun, and he begins to leave in a sprint, and they can't stop him, because he's left in such a way. The 3 of them kind of go crazy and emit killing intent, you know, that kind of comedic type of thing where it's like, "You've stolen my man, I'm going to kill you," you know, fire in my eyes kind of thing. At the Doulahan, who's honestly done nothing wrong. Luckily, the class rep steps in and is like, "No, this is not okay, this is a bad thing." You know? And then he progresses the plot by calling the Doulahan, being like, "Hey, make your way to the nurse's office if you can. Tell them that people are going berserk. They'll be able to stop them." You know, it's not like he ran away with it as a coward with a plan. He ran away to save himself and to save the situation. He also comes back to try and help the situation with a flash grenade, because I wanted him to come back with a flash grenade. And whatever, you know. It's kind of hard to explain. It's boring and hard to explain in this kind of sense. At least I find it weird to explain. But I'm also, you know, actively thinking of it right now, and so it makes sense to me. And that's also because I actively think of the stories as I explain them, because I actively think of them in the way that I built them. So I know what happens, I know what's happening, and I'm trying to explain it in a way that is understandable, yeah. You know? It's hard to describe the color red to someone who's blind. I mean, you can describe it as aggression, violence, heat, you know? When you hover your hand over a stove, you can feel that as heat, and you can describe that as red. Same with blue. You can describe simple blues and reds as heat and cold, hot and cold. But what about other colors like purples? Well, those ones are... Good question. Color is the lack of reflective light that comes from an object. These leaves are only perceived as green. Well, that's unfortunate for you. Yeah, that would be... I guess that would be a lot of shades of gray, as well as, hello, Damon Death Angel. Welcome to our party. It's not even demon, it's Damon. It's not demon, it's Damon. D-A-E-M-O-N. Damon. It's like Damien. How's it going, Damien? My name's Merkendurkel. You know? Egglish. It's old Egglish. Yeah, you know, you can't trust those eggs anymore. They speak in tongues. Egglish. Evil. Sometimes they're just plain old rotten. That's not even a good joke. Rotten eggs. There's too many trees, you know? What do you think, Skeleton? You don't like me. He doesn't like me. what was I thinking about? I was thinking about 5 different things. I was thinking about story. I was thinking about a different story as well. And then I was thinking about colors. How do you describe color? Well, you gotta first, I guess, picture who you're describing it to, right? Because it's easier to describe color to a person who has like color dysphoria as compared to a person who's blind, right? At least I would assume so. I've never had to properly describe color or sight to someone, which may be lucky, may be sad. You know, I never was able to broaden my horizons in such a way. I was never intrinsically able to do such a thing. But I guess a person with color dysphoria would already have a basis of what image is, and so you could describe color with image, you know? With a fully blind person, you could probably describe color with sensation, you know? Red could, as I was saying, could be described with the heat of a stove. You know, blue with the cold of a freezer. Yellow could be described as the warmth of the sun, not quite as the heat of a stove, or it could be described as the tingle of electricity. Green could be described as either, I don't know, I'd probably have to say the stench of like vomit or garbage. You know, we usually associate green with both nature and bad bodily function. You know, garbage bags for the longest time were green. Now they've pretty much changed to black, but still, you know, there was a good period where they were green. Beef, birch, potato, apple. No one likes apples. Apples are weird. I don't like apples, you know? I'm not even joking there. Apples, they push up against my gums in such a weird way that I can't stand eating them anymore. Like, it's because they have such a hard, waxy surface, and then they have, like, a densely packed flesh. And so, they push my gums up on my teeth, and it just feels weird. Richard, you're still there! I thought you were gone. I'm sorry, I completely ignored you. Why is there 2 villagers up there, then? Richard's a funny guy, you know? Richard's a funny guy. You gotta give Richard some slack. But for a person with, I want to say Crohn's disease, but I feel like that's 100% wrong. No, now I have to figure that out. Very wrong. Oh, okay. Crohn's disease is something to do with your guts, with your organs. Anyways, I was doing weird voices earlier today, like some really do weird voices, and they hurt my throat. I'm able to do some weird things myself. You know, I can stretch the muscles in my neck by flexing them, and I don't know if other people can do it. Like, you can flex your muscles in your neck pretty easily, but to actively flex them, something that not a lot of people do, because it's weird and stupid and no one does it. That's right! I went this way to do the thingamabob so I could get more pickaxes. That's not true in the slightest. I came this way to get, things. I know things. Do you know things? I know things. I'm having a stroke. A deep slate. I came this way to get deep slate. And then I got distracted, going out there.
Upsy. Upside doodles. Can't believe I've done this to myself.
Noise. Noise. What was I thinking about? I was thinking about a lot of things. Yes, what was I thinking about? I feel like this is gonna be my most asked question ever. Yes, stories, I guess. Back to stories. Yeah, I don't know. I like building stories. I like thinking of worlds and things that never happen, and that will almost guaranteed never happen to me. You know, I can never see myself getting surrounded by a collective of girls, especially abusive women. You know, I have way too much pride to be the cuck of a group of abusive people. I mean, I'm okay with being the odd one out, you know, left out of a group of friends, but physical abuse is pretty much where the line is it's drawn heavily. I'm very strict on that line. You know? And I draw that line in a way where it's, you know, there's a difference between friends fucking around and having fun and just being dicks with a bit of hard roughhousing. Roughhousing, that's the difference. And actual physical abuse. I've been lucky enough to never have to experience such a situation in my life, but still, you know, I wouldn't want to experience it. It's not my prime objective. My prime objective is to kill all of human life. Whether that's painlessly or not is to be seen by another person. I mean, just don't resist and it will go painlessly. I do have guns. No, I don't. I'm not American. I do not have guns. I do have knives, and while I'm not trained to use them, I'm pretty sure I can figure out how best to stab them between your vertebrae. Like a fish. I wonder which way is better to kill someone, or an animal. Slitting their throats, or putting a knife between their vertebrae, at the base of their skull, you know? Which way is the least painful? Which way is the fastest way to kill someone? Oh man, I would assume putting a knife between the two vertebrae and like jamming it, you know, up and down or twisting it would probably be the fastest, because and would probably be the least painful. But it's likely not the easiest way, because you can slit a throat by accident. It's pretty hard to accidentally stab a knife into someone's vertebrae. At least I would think so. I got some people that I would like to test it on, so maybe I'll have to make that a field test at some point. I'm kidding. I hate most people, but even then I'm pretty vanilla about my hate. Never stoop as low as to kill someone out of hate. Yet. I mean, probably stoop pretty close. I'd like to think that I would have the stomach to kill someone in a fight. Like, I've sometimes fantasized, like, I get rolled up on by two people that want to kidnap me, and I'm able to play dirty or do whatever that I need to, and I wouldn't hesitate to kill someone in a situation like that. It's a hard situation to think about. It's like, I'm like a 23-year-old man-child, big enough to tower over enough people that it would be weird to pick me as a kidnap target, you know? As a victim. And so it's unlikely that I'd be kidnapped, especially since I'm not worth a lot of money. I mean, my organs might be, but my life, no. And so it's like, I'd very rarely get the opportunity to experience such a thing.
And I'm kind of happy about that.
I'm both happy and sad. I'm happy because it's a horrible thing and I would rather never experience it, but I'm sad because I can't test my limit. You know? Like, I'm pretty confident that if I was put in a survival situation, I'd be more than willing to kill an animal, especially since I've never actually killed an animal before. I'd probably be able to butcher an animal, albeit poorly. Same with skinning it. I have enough basic knowledge that I could probably skin it, albeit poorly. And so it goes to that kind of thing of, where is the limit of what I can or can't do? Because I mean, technically, when push comes to shove, anyone could really kill a human. Like, that's one of the reasons why push comes to shove. We get put into a situation where it's pretty much life or death, and we step up to be the truest form of ourselves, you know? Which would be a really weird psychological experiment. Actively putting people in the most dangerous situation that they can, and seeing the actual type of person they are, you know? It's also a very fascinating thing, seeing the true person that a person is, the truth of a person, in comparison to who they say or who they think they are. Because I think I'm a pretty petty little bastard. But I also think that I'm a lot more open-hearted and generous than I expect. I don't know if I'd be willing to save every person that came my way in such a situation, but I'd probably do my best to not be the most selfish bastard. But then again, that's me being optimistic, especially since push hasn't come to shove. I know that if I was in like an apocalypse, or I expect that if I was in an apocalypse, I'd have a hard time showing sympathy and care for other people, and I'd most likely look out for myself, much like the rest of humanity. People who show care and love for others in such a situation are very big outliers. You know? They're not part of the basic norm. Nice. Okay, so I got 3, 6. I'm gonna get 7 here. I'm gonna get 8. Hopefully, if this pickaxe holds up. But it's weird to see just the truest form of people. Especially, like, you don't even have to die to see the truest. At least I don't have to die to see just the weirdness of the human body. I don't really like it, but I've pulled my cheeks, my lips apart. You know, kind of like one of those clear plastic things which holds your lips apart so dentists can work on stuff, or can train your face muscles or something like that. Something stupid. And I've looked at my jaw, and you know, there's a viscerally different sensation between looking at a dried out skeletal head and looking at a living human head. And I was only able to look at the teeth and the gums area, you know, the jaw area, because obviously that's the only area I can pretty much flay the skin off of my body. in such a sense. You know, that's one of the only areas I can actually look at, and so it makes such a viscerally different sensation. It's like this. It kind of has like an identity disorder kind of thing where it's like, this is me, but this also doesn't feel like me. You know, this is a mirror of me showing the insides of me. It's a very complicated, almost self-denial that I'm existing. That's kind of what it is. But of course, it's not to the extent where it's existential dread and I'm having a panic attacks and stuff like that. I'm pretty confident that I exist. I think, therefore I am, kind of thing. How far along this ridge will go? We've almost cleared up all of the excess debris on this level. Anyways, stories. Yeah, I like to build stories, not necessarily with me as the protagonist. I mean, I don't deny that I like building stories with myself as the protagonist. Being able to play the hero is fun as all hell. Being able to have a hero complex is pretty fun as well. But I try and build stories with truth in them, you know? Why does this thing equate to that? Why does this logic make sense? Where is the logic in this unique situation? You know? Why would zombies exist on Earth? Well, when you look at it, disease and other things like that, you know, disease, virus, parasite, that stuff doesn't make sense. It kind of would understandably make sense if it was like a mold or a living creature which took over the human body, but it would also not make sense, especially at the extent at which the infected are shown, right? You know, zombies are shown pretty much be shown to pretty much be mindless husks with no ability to move, with no ability to reason. But that doesn't make sense. I mean, even if they followed instinct, they'd have to have a certain level of intelligence, right? They would have to have a certain level of reasoning ability. And so I came to the thought that instead of having no intelligence, zombies would have to have probably the intelligence of like a crow, you know? Not too much intelligence, but just enough where it's like they're able to plan and make thought for themselves. Because crows can hold a grudge, and crows are vicious monsters. At least as far as I'm aware. Crows are pretty much vicious monsters. But they're also super smart, you know? No one on Earth can deny the intelligence of a crow. They're able to actively understand tools and other things. They have enough comprehensible skills, mental skills, to be able to hold grudges against other species, whether they be other animals or other crows, you know. They do have decently intelligent social hierarchies. You know, crows are amazing, but they're horrifying as well. And so you would think that a zombie would have to have at least a modicum of intelligence, you know? Because it would have to be considered, it would have to be a living thing, and because of that, it would have to have some level of intelligence. You know, it would be able to learn things and have its own thoughts. Why do zombies grow up? Well, they find that safety in numbers is a very important thing. Why do they not attack big compounds? Well, they find that if they do, they end up all dying. You know? They learn from trial and error the ways of what is and isn't good. Whether it be beneficial for them or not. You know? Oh, there's this zombie that lived a long enough time, or survived a long enough time, and it saw humans using doors. Well, maybe this zombie now knows how to use doors in a more basic sense. Not locked doors. Not anything of that caliber. It might eventually be able to learn, but it understands the concept of opening door handles. What does that do? That makes that particular zombie a much bigger threat, because the only reason humans would lock doors is if there's other humans present, you know? When there's an undeniable threat nearby, a threat that can hurt them. And if they get complacent and stop thinking that zombies are a threat about doors, well, now they've just died. A zombie picks up a rock to break a glass window. Hey, that's pretty smart. You know, not to mention, in most media that involves zombies, they have to stretch it pretty hard to make it zombies. I mean, it starts off as zombies on the first day, and then it very quickly, rapidly evolves, by chance, you know? By the time the third week is hit, they're no longer zombies, they're just some freaky-deaky monsters. Those aren't zombies, those are monsters. And you're just kidding yourself by saying they are. Nice. No, I think they might have updated how much air you hold in your lungs, because by golly, does not feel like a lot. I need to get like a Heart of the Sea or something like that, because holy snap. It's going to get annoying. The issue is that a conduit doesn't work without having some thingamabobs, the bricks around. Prismarine bricks. change the swim speed of drowned? Like, this doesn't feel like a drowned swimming speed. Anyways, yeah. You know, if zombies only die to headshots, well, then they best hope that they don't kill the human host with a injury to the head, you know? And why do they only die to headshots? Why not, like, damage to the neck or spine? Or where explicitly is the head supposed to be damaged to, you know, for it to be considered a quote-unquote headshot? You know, there's a lot of weird questions. Nice. Let's go get some sand from over here. Didn't even know there was like this sand area back here. Didn't even register it in my head when I was getting sand earlier. I can tell I was getting sand earlier in a spot. I'm pretty sure it was like on the corner of that beach over there, yeah. Didn't even think about this area. Didn't even see it. Yeah, that's my own fault. I get sand until this shovel breaks. I guess I did know that this area was here, because I obviously went in that cave to put torches down. Oh well. You know, what about the Last of Us zombies? With the fungal infection. Well, why didn't they firebomb cities? I mean, they kind of did, but they really didn't. I mean, you could once the disease gets properly finalized and you know what it is, pretty easy to destroy it. I mean, you get proper equipped soldiers in full hazmat gear, full proper body armor with flamethrowers. You burn down buildings that you don't need, especially skyscrapers and stuff like that. You check, you know, the downs in basements and stuff like that, and you burn down everything. And then you later end up getting to a situation where, let's say, you can't burn something down fast enough because like a clicker is running at you. Because clickers are like the much stronger, much more aggressive zombie. Well, then your flamethrowers are protected by 2 or more properly, you know, full gas mask, proper soldiers with proper arms, you know. They aim at headshots, they destroy heads, they do damage to the body, and they protect the flamethrowers. Pretty simple operation. A 4-man team, you know, 30 groups of 4-man teams, and bada bing, bada boom, a city can easily be erased. Or at least a town, you know, big swaths can be erased and brought back to human territory. And that's after doing things like firebombing, you know? You run jets over, you firebomb the area, and you send up these 30 squads, 30, 90, 100, and hundreds squads, you know, to do aftermath cleanup. I'd say that's a fair situation. But either way, you know, Left 4 Dead zombies, they don't necessarily die through headshots. They can, but a lot of the time, because of the way the game is built, they die from accumulated damage. That's fine as well. I mean, figure out where the most damage is given, probably the head or heart, and then continue from there. The mutated zombies, well, that's only an issue for small groups of survivors. Anyone that's properly armed can very easily take them down, as shown in the game how a group of 4 people running around still surrounded by hundreds of zombies can easily take down all 4 of the types. You would think the military would be able to do ops and very easily protect these soldiers in their employment. You know, it's not a, oh no, there's a tank, blah blah blah. I mean, sure they can flip cars and flip big, sure, you know, things like the tank can flip big weapons, but can it really stand impact from heavy machine gun fire and tanks? What about a minigun? Literally a minigun that shoots thousands of bullets in a second, where it doesn't sound like a, you know, it's a, it's a vibration. A minigun doesn't make a bullet firing sound, it makes vibration. It is just, and you are dead. You have literally been turned into mincemeat. Hundreds of bullets have pierced your body, and you have died. You know, what do you do to that?
Oh, the tank has strong weapon, has strong body skin, body armor.
Okay. Then you throw proper equipment on, and you fucking hit him with a tank. You hit the tank with a tank. Who would have guessed? And what about worlds and fantasy stories about monsters and dungeons appearing on Earth? There's gotta be a reason for that, and oftentimes the reason is, oh, Earth is just old enough to do that, I guess. Haha. That's so funny, XD lol random. But most of the time it's kinda stupid. I mean, I'm gonna have to put this heckin' glass over top anyways. You know, there's always got to be a reason for things to happen. Nothing happens randomly. And so, if the Earth is being somehow invaded with monsters, it's got to be a reason why. And usually the reason is deictic, you know? Oh, the gods have started some game, you know? Somehow they're our pantheon of gods and not, like, some unknown pantheon. Likelihood is they're not actually our pantheon of gods, but they're using their likenesses and names from earthen mythology in order to better inaugurate themselves into human society. You know, because they would probably use the worship and prayers of lesser life forms like humans to actually sustain their existence. And so, if they steal the mythology of the pre-existing mythology, it would make sense, you know? Whatever mythology best suits them and they. Actually, that makes a lot more sense than anything else that I've seen. Let's actually bring this up by one. So I'm gonna need space for stairs, right? Clink. Drink. Nice. So yeah, I end up thinking of things like, why did the world suddenly get an influx of mana, and why are these things called gods appearing? Why do they hold our specific mythologies and names and stuff like that? You know, specific to humans and Earth, etc., etc. You know, what are the after effects of these things happening? Well, one of the things I don't understand is why guns don't work.
Oh, these monsters, they're so imbued with mana that they're dense and guns aren't effective against them anymore.
That makes no fucking sense in the slightest. You know that, right? Like, sure, mana could make them dense, but guns are meant to go through plates of steel armor. You're telling me that a goblin or a troll has enough, like maybe a troll, but you're telling me a goblin, or let's say an orc, or let's say a goblin has enough density in their body to shrug off pistol ammo. Sure, it doesn't shrug off assault rifle ammo because higher caliber weapons are still strong. It's able to shrug off pistol ammo, and you want me to fight it with a kitchen knife? What kind of cancerous world did you think? Like, it would make sense if Earth could properly defend itself from dungeons, because we have such an ample amount of human technology. Tanks, heavy artillery, weaponry. Dungeons would not be able to properly propagate and expand in populated and near populated areas of Earth. On top of mountains, inside deep oceans, areas that are hard for people to get to, and especially hard for people to defend, they could propagate, they could grow, but they'd end up having to set their own borders because they'd be surrounded on a losing battle. There's almost no monster, whether they have magic or not, because if they have magic, humans would have magic. You know? If they have enchanted metals, humans would end up getting enchanted metals too, whether from them or them naturally spawning on Earth now. And what about, or them getting them from dungeons and stuff like that? Or what about, yes, they can do things and hurt things. That made perfect sense. They could very easily turn those enchanted metals into firearms. I mean, I say very easily, but the step backwards to bows, spears, axes, and swords would be a very, very short step. We would not be staying on that step for very long. We would very quickly move back to being in the gun era, with guns being made out of enchanted metals, as well as using enchanted metals, having better quality gunpowder to fire bullets at a faster rate, which would eventually allow us to take down stronger enemies and stuff like that, you know? Like, I could somewhat understand why bringing a gun is impractical going into a dungeon, because guns take ammunition, and without a proper supply line, going into a dungeon would probably be, without enough ammunition, would be a very big death sentence, and you never know how much ammo you would need. You never know how much ammo you would need. And so you'd probably want to bring higher caliber guns like sniper rifles and railguns that you can, which you would be able to bring a smaller amount of ammo for, but you'd be able to use in much more intense situations. Oh, you're fighting a troll or an ogre, and let's say they actually are, or let's say they're weak to normal assault rifle fire, or something like that, or they're actually resistant to assault rifle fire. But your army is fighting, your raid party is fighting against, 60 ogres, and then there's an ogre chief in the back giving orders like a proper commander, like a proper general. Well, what do? Well, you take out your railgun or your sniper rifle, and you blast the bloody thing's head off. You erase it out of existence. And why do you do that? Because you immediately turn the enemy into a disorganized mob. They become an unorganized, unleadered mob filled with monsters. Would that not be the best thing? Would that not be seen as pristine action? I don't know about you, but I'd see it as high quality stuff. I wonder if all the glass is melted yet. Pretty much. You drown, and then get back on land. Oh well. I would see that as the actual thing. You would use high-powered weaponry to deal damage to strong targets that you can't get to due to a mass amount of mobs. It would make sense, It makes at least decent enough sense. Opinion. I know my opinion has some hard to accept things, but it's my opinion nonetheless. That was an accidental placement, and I'm going to have to pay for that later by gathering more sand. I know it in my heart. Ah, you fucking bitch. Anyways, yeah. It's those kind of little things which make understanding a world, Why do guns not work in this world? of magic and things. Well, the narrative reason is because they don't want to make guns overpowered, you know? That's the very clear, obvious reason. Guns are strong, and they want to exemplify magic. You know? They want to give magic a shot at being the strongest thing on Earth. And so they say, guns just don't work. Plain and simple. The issue is it's not plain and simple. And yeah, I kind of burnt myself out, but that's pretty much a solid thought on that kind of situation. Why do guns not work in a dungeon? Well, because it wants to be narratively magic and swords. It wants to be a proper fantasy, as opposed to being real life, or close to real life. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I love my cats. They're often picking on fights with each other, but they're both sleeping so soundly right now. You know, my cats are a bunch of fucking shits. Always picking fights. I got a small window that leads to like an outside like sunroom in my room, attached to my room. And one of them's almost always standing out there, waiting for the other one to walk through so we can attack him. kind of a problem, almost. If it wasn't cute, it would be a problem. Because pretty much they're waiting there to escalate a fight, you know? No ifs, ands, or buts. They're there to start a fight. Or finish one. Could have been a little bit worse than it currently is. I mean, imagine if I didn't have all this sand, I would have had to like place stone in here or something like that, or dirt, and have to take it all out by hand, or gravel. Gravel wouldn't have been nice because it turns into flint. Flint is even more useless than sand. At least it is to me, that is. Use the newly made line markers as something. Now we're gonna turn 2 full stacks into more lovelies, more lovelies. This. Nice. I'd have to recess this a bit. Okay, 1 more block. I think that's what I'll have to do. I already made it go up 1, but I didn't like how close my head was to the ceiling. It was not my favorite thing in the world. Yes, yes, yes. I did not think there would be a water hole right there. There we go. There we go. Still need more half slabs, but it's okay for now. Yay. Bubbles might come in handy later on. I mean, do golems even get hurt by magma cubes? I don't think so. That is a good question. I must say that is a good question. these guys not attack you if your head's above the clouds or above the waterline? Like, I'm getting to wonder about that. They only seem to appear when my head's below the waterline. Nice. Nope. I can actually take this, that, and that. Or, I guess I should probably make a new pickaxe, eh? I have another way of doing it. Nice. 32. 62 rather. Okay. I mean, it's okay. I guess it's there to stop some mobs. Kinda weird how glass doesn't drip. I mean, I'm happy it doesn't, but kinda weird. Glass doesn't drip, but other blocks do. It's like, how real you making this game? You know? How real you making this? Let's see, I'm also going to need things. I'm gonna have to get that cleared out, put up all the other stuff, you know, deal with all the water. Like, just 2 full blocks, and then some half slabs. And like going back to full blocks here would work out better. Be kind of like a new design. I guess it works out enough. I mean, we'll need more half slabs and full blocks and stairs to make it properly stand out, but it looks like it's working. And yeah, let's put up this roof. I wonder if I should tint this with like tinted glass or something like that, or dark glass or stained glass. Maybe in the future. Nice. Go. And that'll help protect me if there's any weird spawns this way. I feel like I should probably make the entire area here into half slabs, like raise this area up. At least to here, you know. Set this entire area in half slabs, that way golems can't spawn, but I guess we'll see that bridge if we get there. Really an issue, then we'll layer this entire area with this. I mean, it can't be that bad, right?
Alright. Thank you, Mr. Hand. Thank you for always being on my side.
You know what? This has been a hot minute. This has been a hot day. We talked a lot. I talked a lot. I talked a heck of a lot. I also am apparently unable to click 2 buttons at once. I talked a heck of a lot, you know? I did a lot of things. What did I do? Well, I went mining. I did that. I mean, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I did it. And it will serve a function. And that's important. And honestly, I have nothing else. What do you say, Richard? Exactly. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and watching and joining us today. If you liked what you saw, have you checked out mine. If you didn't, then oh well. Thank you so much, and have a great night.